The human super-soldiers' armor gleamed, splattered with alien blood, as they stood before the stunned Galactic Council. Humanity's forbidden bio-augmented troops shocked the assembled alien races. Varys, a high-ranking Malon diplomat, watched the reveal from his quarters. Varys tapped his quantum comm. His friend Zorn, another diplomat, spoke as a hologram. The news of the humans' illegal super-soldiers is spreading fast. I'm not surprised. We should have expected humanity to try something like this, Varys said. When we first encountered them decades ago, humanity was an ambitious young race. They advanced rapidly, hungry to explore space. Our people sponsored their council membership bid. We saw great potential in them. And the older races protested. They called humans volatile, dangerous, untrustworthy. Humanity's history of war and conflict worried them, Zorn said. In the end, the council compromised. Humans gained provisional status with close monitoring. Those races assumed human aggression doomed them to failure. They underestimated humanity's capabilities. But now the truth is out. If the council races turn on the humans and their secret super-soldier program, it could mean war, subjugation, or extermination for Earth. The humans must tread very carefully if they hope to survive. Varys turned to the window, gazing out at the stars. The galaxy was about to learn a harsh lesson. They had always been wrong about humanity's potential, and they would soon discover the grave consequences of that mistake. Those fears will only grow when they learn what happened at the human colony, Varys said solemnly. Just a few days ago, we received a distress signal from a remote human settlement at the fringes of Council space. It was under heavy assault by Kraxan forces. Zorn's holographic eyes widened. The Kraxans, by the star, those savages show no mercy. That colony must be lost. Varys shook his head. That's what we assumed as well. We dispatched a fleet immediately to assist, expecting to find only ashes and corpses. But when we arrived... He paused, still marveling at the memory. The colony stood intact, and the Kraxans, utterly annihilated. How is that possible? Zorn asked, leaning forward in astonishment. I was just as shocked as you are now, Varys continued. I landed at the colony myself, needing to see it with my own eyes. And there, amidst the wreckage of 100 Kraxan ships, I was greeted by a mere handful of human soldiers, no more than a dozen. Zorn's mouth fell agape. A dozen humans defeated an entire Kraxan war fleet. That's unthinkable. They called themselves Spartans, Varys said, led by a man named Edward Walker. These Spartans, despite being outnumbered 100 to 1, had single-handedly repelled the Kraxan invasion. How could they possibly... Their combat capabilities, their technology. It was beyond anything I've seen from the council races, beyond anything I thought humans possessed. When I spoke to Walker, he revealed that the Spartans were the product of a clandestine human military project designed to create unmatched super-soldiers. Zorn's brow furrowed. Super-soldiers? Genetically engineered, cybernetically enhanced, stronger, faster, smarter than any ordinary human, than any ordinary being in the galaxy, I dare say. Zorn's hologram flickered as he shifted uneasily. Do you think the Council will see this as a threat? Varys nodded grimly. Undoubtedly, many already fear humanity's swift ascension. This revelation, the existence of their Spartan warriors, will only intensify those fears. The political ramifications will be severe. Zorn's expression darkened. If the Council races see humanity as a threat, if they believe their super-soldiers pose an existential risk, then the humans' position within the Council, tenuous as it already is, may well crumble. Varys finished. Mistrust will fester. Old grievances and prejudices will resurface. Some may even call for containment, or worse. And if that happens, if the other races turn against humanity... Varys turned back to the window, his gaze heavy with the weight of his words. Then may the gods help us all, for I fear neither the Council nor the galaxy itself truly comprehends what humanity is capable of, or the calamity that would befall us should they ever unleash their full might. "Have you heard about the emergency council session?" Zorn asked, his holographic face etched with concern. Varys nodded solemnly. "I was there when they summoned the human ambassador to explain herself." "What happened?" The ambassador, a woman named Elizabeth Reese, stood before the entire council. She was as unshakable as stone, even with 100 eyes glaring at her. Zorn leaned in. "What did she say?" Reese didn't flinch. She told them straight that the Spartans were a necessary evil, that humanity had learned the hard way how cruel the galaxy could be. Varys shook his head. She said they'd nearly been wiped out by hostile aliens in the past. The Spartans were their insurance policy, to make sure it never happened again. "A preemptive measure," Zorn murmured. Reese swore the Spartans were only for defense, that they'd only fought to protect the colony from the Craxans, never to attack council races. Did the council believe her? Some did. Others wanted humanity sanctioned, even expelled from the council. Varys sighed. They argued for hours, but in the end, they voted to let the humans stay. Just like that? Not quite. There will be more oversight now, more restrictions on their military. The council made that much clear. Zorn snorted. "I'm sure that went over well. The humans have never been fond of leashes." Varys rubbed his temple. "No, they haven't, and something tells me this is far from over. The council may have reached a decision, but the fear, the distrust, that won't vanish overnight." "You think there will be trouble?" "I think we're standing on a precipice, Zorn, and one wrong step could send us all tumbling into the abyss." Varys turned back to the window, his eyes fixed on the distant stars. "We've underestimated the humans at every turn, and now, with these Spartans, with their technological might, I fear we've unleashed something we cannot hope to control." Zorn's hologram flickered, his expression grim. "What do we do?" Varys was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with resignation. "We pray, old friend, we pray that the humans' better nature will prevail, that their Spartans will remain guardians, not conquerors." He closed his eyes, as if the weight of the galaxy rested upon his shoulders. "And if our prayers go unanswered, then may the gods have mercy on us all." Varys leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "There's something else, Zorn. Something that hasn't been made public yet." Zorn's holographic eyebrows raised. "What is it?" "A few days ago, one of our reconnaissance vessels detected a massive Craxan fleet massing near the border of council space. The size and composition of the fleet, it suggested they were preparing for a full-scale invasion." Zorn's eyes widened. "An invasion by the stars?" Varys nodded grimly. "We immediately informed the council, of course. They began mobilizing their own forces in response, but—" He hesitated. "But what?" "Privately, many of the council's military leaders were skeptical about our chances of success. The Craxan fleet was larger and more advanced than anything we'd faced before. Many believed the invasion couldn't be stopped." Zorn's hologram flickered as he shifted uneasily. "So what happened?" A hint of awe crept into Varys's voice. "The humans intervened." "The humans?" "A small fleet of their ships, led by a massive vessel called the Infinity, suddenly appeared near the Craxan staging area. Zorn, the Infinity. It dwarfed even the largest Craxan ships, and it was bristling with advanced weaponry, the likes of which we'd never seen before." Zorn leaned forward, his eyes intent. "What did they do?" "They engaged the Craxan fleet immediately, and what followed? It was a battle unlike any in the Council's history. The human ships tore through the Craxan fleet like they were made of paper. Their weapons cut through the Craxan's shields and armor with ease." "By the gods!" "And that's not all. The humans deployed their Spartans in advanced exosuits. They boarded the Craxan ships and decimated their crews in brutal close-quarters combat. Within hours, the Craxan fleet was in ruins. The invasion had been stopped before it even began." Zorn sat back, stunned. That's incredible. What has the Council's response been?" Varys shook his head. They're still struggling to come to terms with what's happened. The humans' intervention, the sheer power they demonstrated, it's changed everything. He met Zorn's gaze, his expression grave. The balance of power in the galaxy has shifted, my friend, and I fear none of us truly comprehend what that means for our future. The human intervention had sent shockwaves through the council. As Varys sat in his quarters, mulling over the implications, Zorn's hologram flickered to life before him. Varys, have you heard the whispers in the council chambers? Varys nodded solemnly. Indeed I have, old friend. The Kraxan invasion has forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths. Like what? Zorn asked, his brow furrowed. Many of our races have grown complacent, Zorn. We've relied on the protection of laws and treaties rather than our own strength. But the humans, they're different. Zorn leaned forward. How so? They're formidable, unpredictable. They took decisive action against the Kraxan while we hesitated. Some in the council are even suggesting that maybe humanity should take a leadership role, given their proven ability to defend against threats. Zorn's eyes widened in shock. What? But they're so young compared to our ancient civilizations. How could they lead us? Varys held up a hand. I understand your reservations, Zorn, but perhaps that's exactly what we need. Fresh blood, new ideas to shake us out of our complacency. As they spoke, a chime sounded. Varys glanced at his console, his face growing grave. An urgent message from the council. He tapped the screen, and a holographic image sprang to life. It showed a star system, but where there should have been vibrant planets and moons, there was only darkness, utter, consuming void. By the gods, what is that? Zorn whispered. They're calling it the Void, Varys said softly. A new threat, powerful and mysterious. It's consuming entire star systems, leaving nothing behind. Zorn shook his head in disbelief. What can we do against such a thing? The Council is assembling a coalition, and they've specifically requested humanity's assistance. They exchanged a knowing look. It seemed humanity's role in the galaxy was only just beginning. As Varys prepared to depart for the Council's strategy session, a sense of unease settled in his gut. Humanity had proven themselves as allies for now. But what would happen when their interests inevitably clashed with those of the Council? Would they remain friends, or would humanity's fierce independence and aggressive nature lead them down a darker path? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, the galaxy would never be the same again. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.